Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Robert Jarosinski. Across from me, for the second time, my wife, Carrie Jarosinski. You're back, I see.
Not beautiful this time, though.
I did not say the beautiful part this time. Still beautiful, but back. And we're back a little earlier than we had expected. 2 weeks earlier, in fact, than planned. Thoughts on the first episode, how it went, and kind of the feedback we received, the reasons why we're back a little sooner?
From me?
Yeah, you.
Oh.
Is there anybody else? Should I pass it to someone else in the room here?
I don't know. No, but I think we have lots to talk about, and we realized also that in keeping with your rule of watching something and then not being able to actually have a conversation about it, that for our own personal reasons, 2 weeks made more sense too, because that's a long time to go without talking about movies.
Yeah, to be honest, the last 2 weeks even have been really difficult for me to contain myself. Like I've caught myself wanting to talk to you, maybe even talking to you in your sleep and whispering things that I saw in a movie. You don't know that I've been doing this, but I have been.
That's weird. Yeah.
But no, the personal reasons aside, I mean, just people's overall reaction was just so nice. Family, friends, listeners had so much positive reaction that I for one was inspired to want to do this more often and make some additional investments. We did also get some feedback. Just be shorter is kind of what we heard, and we do realize that first episode was really long. We will try to keep them closer to an hour going forward. The other thing that I picked up from people's feedback was there were a lot of Team Carrie people.
Really?
A lot of Team Carrie people.
Oh,
yeah,
you didn't give me that feedback.
Kind of hurt the self-esteem a bit. People calling you the funny one.
No.
How is this possible?
That.
When did that transition happen?
I don't know, but you didn't give me that feedback before, and I would have appreciated that.
No,
that's very thoughtful.
First episode in the books. We, as of maybe a couple hours ago, I think we had about 175 downloads of our first episode.
That is crazy.
So a little bit, and another thing that you don't know about, Lo, my best friend, back from Colorado, we had talked about, he asked me what success would be. Always talk about, define success ahead of time of what the show will be. And when I was thinking, when we were launching this, I thought success would be a year from now. I told him, I have the text message in my phone to prove it. I told him that by next year, if we had consistently every month 50 downloads, I would think that would be a success. And here we are. 2 weeks after our first episode, with over 170 downloads. So thanks to our listeners who put up with us for over an hour and a half. I'm definitely excited to be here again. It spurred a lot of excitement, at least in my end. I think from you too. You're back again, and I think you were excited. I've never seen you so excited to see movies, and that gets me even more excited.
When I was doing my homework, hopefully accurately this time. I saw 11 movies in 2 weeks.
No, you did not.
I think I did.
Was this? I only saw 10 movies.
How
did you see 11 movies?
I don't know.
Was it when I was watching the kids?
Is that what happened this time? I doubt it. But I don't know. Did I make some of these up? I only fell asleep in maybe 2.
Okay. All right. Well, improvements all around. And speaking of improvements, we are making some additional investments. We had my colleague and friend over last night with his wife and his two boys, Jack Williams, who I work with, and he led me on to a site called Fiverr. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but basically it's a network of individuals who are talented in a variety of things. The thing I'm interested in is computer programming, mainly for a website. We're going to make some investments in the website, alternateendingpod.com, trying to make that a little bit better, more searchable, so that you can see what our picks are on a more regular basis. We also made improvements to the room. I didn't, when you walked into the room, I didn't see you tear anything off or make too much noise. And noise is really the key. We wanted to make things sound better, so we put up some soundproofing. Does it look bad? Does it look a little? I try to make it look a little artsy.
There is foam all over our walls. I don't know if artsy is what I would say.
It was either that or I was going to put egg cartons up or maybe some sort of carpeting on the walls. Is this better than that? It's not cheaper.
It's not cheaper. No, I know how much you spent on this foam, and I thought maybe it would be a little something more, but we'll see if we get feedback on the sound being $100 worth of foam better this time. So.
I hope it does sound better. I don't think many people could probably pick up on it, but audiophile that I am or pretend to be, in headphones it just wasn't doing it for me. So I'm hoping this time it sounds a little bit better. So we want to jump right in. Again, we were a little longer last time than we'd like to have been. I want to just quickly call out a couple of folks who wrote in afterwards. We last week or last month or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, we did our top 5 all times. Wanted to call out these people that came wrote in a little later. Dwayne Jarrell, friend out of San Francisco, also acknowledged Paul Dano being a fan, and he said if you're a Paul Dano fan, check out the movie Lie, L-I-E. He was also bummed we didn't say anything about Memento, and he thought we should. Yeah. Did we not say anything?
You said Prestige.
I did say no. I think I said Memento. I just didn't have it as my top 5.
Okay.
And Bound, he wanted us to talk more about Bound, but obviously we already had talked about Bound quite a bit. And again, he mentioned Paul Dano. Your friend Kelly Barnes had what did she call Paul Dano?
I think she called him a goob.
A goob.
A goob.
Really
I don't think
sure.
that's positive.
I don't think it's positive, but goob or not, Paul Dano is definitely an up and coming actor. He's already arrived. Definitely watch more movies of him. Your cousin Nick Roush threw in his top 5. He had Raiders of the Lost Ark, Pan's Labyrinth, City of God, Braveheart, Goodfellas. Can't argue with any of those picks. Becky Garden, coworker, mine friend, wrote in with Man in the Moon, The Rock, Untamed Heart, Blow,
Rock.
Shining Through, and Goodfellas. All over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Little heart, little
soul.
Little soul, but then also like the edgy stuff. She had like edgy with heart mixed in too.
Blow, that's a drug one, right?
Yes, I think is it Johnny Depp? I believe it is.
Yeah.
And then Catherine Sakaris wrote in with Hoosiers, classic.
Somebody else liked Hoosiers.
Are you sure it just wasn't Catherine Sakaris? And
I don't know.
No. So again, another lessons learned. We're condensing the show. We were going to go with 5 worth mentionings every week. Because we're moving to bi-weekly, we're going to keep it to 3. So given the increase in frequency, we're changing our program up for the episode. We were going to talk about something else. Last 2 weeks ago, we did all-time top 5. Now, this week, we're going to do the bottom 5, followed by some new recs, and then go through the movies that we watched in this last week. Really try to focus just on a couple of them. Before we get into it, just really quick, because it just happened, Oscar nominees. Did you follow anything there, and any surprises or anything?
I'm going to do that this week.
You're going to see who actually was nominated this week?
I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something else.
Minus the whole controversy that the Oscars are so white, and they are, and they always are. And, that you can't put that aside. But if we put it aside, I had no real big snubs. I did think that Idris Elba for Beasts of No Nations, amazing. Mm-hmm. I know you're not going to see, I don't recommend you seeing it, but I recommend everybody else seeing it who has a little stomach for that kind of stuff. He gave an amazing performance. I'm surprised that he wasn't. I heard great things about Will Smith. He wasn't nominated. Ryan Coogler, director of Creed, wasn't nominated. And then I haven't seen it. It's in our queue when it comes out. Straight Outta Compton, I heard was a great movie. That was left in the dark as well. And then unfortunately the passing of 2 movie stars. I'll call them both movie stars, Alan Rickman and David Bowie. So sad to hear that. David Bowie was in 40 movies. He's credited with 40 movies. What do you know? David Bowie, go. What movies? Not 40. You don't need to list 40.
No,
just any favorite performances of his? I can only think of 2 movies.
I am the last person you should put on the spot for something like that. I have no idea. I thought he was a musician.
He is a musician, but also an actor.
Movies.
He was in The Prestige. You mentioned The Prestige. He played Tesla. Yeah, he played Nicholas Tesla.
Wow.
And then Alan Rickman, mostly known
for Robin Hood for me on Alan Rickman.
Is that first thing top of mind for you?
Yeah, that's the first one. And then
Sheriff
I think
Nottingham. He was creepy in that. He was
so creepy, but it was good. And it was like a weird dynamic with him where it was like you really didn't like him. He was terrible, but I don't know, he was so like bad, he was good.
He's like a charismatic bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
One movie that I will mention right now that has Alan Rickman in it that I actually recommend everybody go see is Bottle Shock.
I fell asleep in that one.
You fell asleep, but what's the episode of us driving on Belmont in Chicago where I kept saying, Carrie, brown Chardonnay, no spoiler about the movie, and I kept wanting to refer back to the movie, and you were driving, and you're not
I hit a car.
Yeah, you hit a car. You're not a good multitasker, so you hit a car and said, no more brown Chardonnay. It's a good movie. I hope
it was your fault that I hit the car.
It was my fault. So we've talked a little bit too much. So you said you had 11 movies. Let's get into we're moving to the worth mentioning. So top 3 worth mentioning over the last 2 weeks. So we tracked the movies we watched over the last 2 weeks. We're trying to narrow it down to the 3 that really hit the most with us.
Or the people should see, I think.
It's not, well, for my criteria, it's worth mentioning either because it's good, but it could be worth mentioning because it's so bad. So it doesn't,
okay.
But I go worst to first. I usually, when I mention them, I go worst to first. So any overlap, do you think, in our top 3 worth mentioning?
Oh, I'm sure.
Really? So how did you watch 11 movies? We're going to have to, I need to figure this out, but why don't you go first?
So the first one I said was Infinitely Polar Bear.
Okay.
That was on your list, wasn't it?
No, not on my list.
Of worth mentioning?
Nope, it's not on my list.
Because you knew I was going to say it. That's
so
why
there is a little bit of there is a little bit of strategy.
You can't do that.
But I'm happy to talk about Infinitely
That's
Polar
why
Bear.
the show is going to be like 3 hours because you're playing games. Just pick the ones that are worth mentioning.
I don't know if I agree though. It wasn't. Okay.
Oh my goodness!
It
was so good.
The world doesn't know about Infinitely Polar Bear. Tell us about Infinitely Polar Bear.
So it's basically Mark Ruffalo, who everybody loves. I know you love him too. But so he suffers from manic depression, and he and his current wife, who is Zoe Saldana,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who I think is just top notch. She's like beauty. But anyway, so I love her to begin with. So she and the two of them are married, and they have marital troubles due to his manic depression, and they just kind of can't get ahead kind of situation financially and stuff like that. So she decides to go back and get her MBA. But in doing that needs to like leave. She goes off to Columbia to get her MBA. So her only choice is basically to leave her 2 young daughters with her husband, who has some sort of struggles, daily struggles on and off. So, and it's kind of like that dynamic of how he copes with her being gone, raising 2, young girls on his own for I think a year and a half. And then she just comes back on weekends. And then it's kind of the dynamic of the spousal relationship and how they handle that on top of how the interaction between his daughters go. And it's just a very, what I would imagine,
And true story.
Oh, it is completely true.
Oh, you didn't know that it was a true story?
Oh, that makes it even better.
No, so the director is the older daughter. It's her, the director, and the writer of the movie. It's from her perspective.
Okay. Wait, so she is the one that then has the mental illness, the director? Or
She's
her husband? Or her husband?
No. Not Zoe Saldana's character. The daughter grows up to become who is now the director and writer of this movie.
Gotcha.
The oldest daughter.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that makes it better.
Yeah, well, he was part of the Forbes Carrie family, so he does have a lot of money, and they explain kind of despite having
that
money,
dynamic.
They explain
have
why
nothing.
they can't.
Yeah.
They still have nothing, and they had to earn everything they have. But yeah, no, it's you go look her up, and she's led an amazing life, and she's it's pretty cool.
That for me that makes it better, and I think with kind of the awareness around mental illness, very present right now. I think it was just a really good high-low movie of what those struggles might look like, and creates a real picture of what those struggles might be like for a family, and what his struggle too. Like he's just trying the best that he can, and he has his own limitations, but how he pushes through those limitations. I think it's definitely a movie that's
Would you
worth
say
seeing.
so? People complain that Mark Ruffalo was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Spotlight, even though this movie came out in 2015. A lot of people think he should be getting it for this instead of that. Do you have any? You've seen both movies. Do you feel like his performance in Spotlight was more memorable, or was Infinitely Polar Bear his performance more memorable?
That's a good question, because I also really liked Spotlight.
Oh, that
was also one of
should
my.
I peek over your computer?
That was also one of my top 3 worth mentioning.
We'll hold on. We'll hold on to that idea then, and then let's hold on to that for a second. I mean, my final thoughts on Infinitely Polar Bear. If you like Mr. Mom, it's like mental illness Mr. Mom, because there are some it's heartwarming. There are some funny moments, but it's more tragic, funny. You know what I mean? Like, but it's a very real version, and the director does a good job. I felt like I was in late 70s. The feel.
Yeah.
It was definitely late 70s. I grew up in the 80s. I was born in the 80s, so I have no idea what's late 70s Boston.
But what you would assume.
She did a good job putting me in late 70s. No, good one. I can't complain. I put it there. I didn't talk about it strategically.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, though, I mean, because I thought it was really good and I had heard good reviews, but it only got a 7 on IMDb, which I thought was low for IMDb because their standards aren't, super high.
I mean, again, I don't want to get overly critical with it. I think it's worth seeing for folks.
Yep.
The movie that I have number 3 going worst to first, and again, I was strategic with this. I saw Carol, not by myself, but without you. And I saw it with your high school friend, Dave Mullen. So two guys going to go see a movie about an aspiring photographer who develops an intimate relationship with an older woman. So, we saw that together in theaters, and it was pretty. The experience was great. Dave's a cool guy. We had no problems going to see a movie like that. So props to him for that. It's written by Phyllis Nagy and Patricia Highsmith. The name Patricia Highsmith doesn't probably mean anything to anybody. She wrote Strangers on a Train. She wrote The Talented Mr. Ripley. She wrote The Two Faces of January, and it's autobiographical. This movie is autobiographical.
Oh, I imagine.
Slightly for her. Directed by Todd Haynes, who did Velvet Goldmine, Far From Heaven, and I'm Not There. It stars Cate Blanchett, who gives an amazing performance. Rooney Mara, who I like, and Sarah Paulson. I almost fell asleep during it.
I had heard. I was wondering if you might fall asleep, so I'd heard it was slow. And since we couldn't talk about the movies, like you going to see a themed movie like this, like that's all I wanted to talk about, and we couldn't talk about it. And I read it was slow, and it was tough to
And
get
what
through.
bothered me about it was getting so much love. The whole reason I went to go see it was I thought this could be an Oscar contender, and I hadn't seen it. I don't want to be dismissive here. I'm glad it wasn't nominated. I don't think it deserves to be nominated. I've heard some people refer to it as one of the best love stories of all time. All right, if we're talking about best love story of all time with this theme, Brokeback Mountain far and away is much better movie than this is. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think it's worth. The reason I'm mentioning it is because I want people. You don't have to avoid it, but don't go into it with high expectations.
Or don't see it in theaters.
Don't see it in theaters. Definitely don't see it in theaters. Although I will say, critically, the film was amazing. Like I think the director shot it on stock, so it takes place in the 1950s. Again, where lesbian relationships probably wasn't practical. You were a pariah if you were a lesbian or homosexual in those times. But he 1950s New York makes it feel like it's 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very, very good at that. But other than that, it was so slow.
So it's not up for anything.
It's not. Well, I think Cate Blanchett might be up for Best Actress.
Okay.
Which she's awesome in pretty much everything. So that was my number 3. Number 2 for you.
I already alluded to it, but it was Spotlight.
Okay.
And that one was written by Josh Singer and Tom McCarthy, and then also directed by Tom McCarthy. Also Mark Ruffalo.
Of Cobbler fame.
Yes. I know. That's what you mentioned. Very difficult movie, but a true story of how the Boston Globe basically uncovered, the child molestation issues within the Catholic Church. And so kind of unveiled this, how big the problem was. Like, I think people knew it was going on. And I think that was set in, do you know when that was set?
Early 90s?
90s. So it was like they knew it was going on, but I think they thought that it was at a much smaller scale. And so it kind of goes through the story of how they, get to what the numbers really look like once they start analyzing the story. And then they realize that it's a story that's tried to be told over and over and over again, but yet it always kind of gets, brushed under the rug kind of story. I thought very intense movie. I thought it was I was engaged through the entire movie. I stayed awake.
And that's a type of movie usually where you don't like a lot of details, where if you're not following, I know for you, so that's saying a lot because there was a lot of details that you had to remember. So, because there were callbacks to the details. I know you have a smile on your face. I'm not trying to. No, but you don't like movies like espionage movies where you have to remember like pieces of the puzzle and then connect them together. So that
it was like that, but it made for however they directed it. It was easier to follow. I didn't have to be
an all-star cast. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. Who else was in that? That was Michael Keaton was in that too. He played the main guy. Mm-hmm. And Rachel McAdams was in it, who I definitely love. And she was really good too.
Tooch was in it.
Oh yeah, and his performance was really awesome too. As kind of the guy who's kind of the eccentric guy that everybody thinks is lost it, but yet he's really the best person in the story because he's the one that's been defending these kids for years. So
I mean, yeah, it's a great movie. It definitely is Oscar.
was that on your list?
No, it's no overlap there. It's like watching a master class in acting because you have amazing actors, and Liev Schreiber. I want to give credit to Liev Schreiber. He's kind of understated performance, but he's a great actor. I think he's a great actor. I loved it too, and it left us talking about not only the systemic failures for this situation, but just how, as a society, sometimes you can turn your back on something, and that how human nature maybe is the bystander effect or whatever it is, where and it's just interesting. It left me wanting, outside of even the topic of the movie, like it made me think about like how would I, in other situations have I turned a blind eye to something.
Yeah.
So.
And I think I view that as a good movie to me, as one that does actually carry with you into like, does that change a behavior for me in my own life and what I would do? And the only thing it was tough as a parent to watch that. And it was a tough story, but I think one that should be told.
So, okay, right now you're not, while I was trying to be strategic, you're not playing into my strategy as I had hoped. So I'm worried that one movie will be left off that I did want to talk about, but we'll see where you end up.
I might have put it on there because I didn't have it on there.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We're not usually on the same page.
We're not on the same
ever,
page, but so this one came next for me, number 2, Sicario.
Oh, you put Sicario.
I put Sicario on here. Well, you couldn't have put Sicario.
Wait.
Do you want to explain why you couldn't have put Sicario on yours?
So, Sicario, the story of a really boring movie.
The story of Carrie falls asleep in 10 minutes after one of the most intense openings of a movie I've seen. No, it's not one of the most intense openings I've seen, but definitely an intense opening. Sicario, 2015, 2 hours, 1 minute, 7.8 on IMDb, which is almost in that top 250 range, and Rotten Tomatoes, 93%. Written by Taylor Sheridan, who's actually mostly an actor, and then directed by Denis Villeneuve. Incendies in 2010, Dennis made. He made Prisoners in 2013, which I haven't had the courage yet to go see because I'm worried about maybe something that happens in there. Enemy, which is you can not watch. It's totally fine with Jake Gyllenhaal. Story of Your Life, and then he's actually been tapped to do Blade Runner in the near future to direct that. He is a very talented director visually, Denis Villeneuve. It shows up in Sicario with some great performances by Emily Blunt, who you love, Josh Brolin.
He was in that movie?
Josh Brolin was in it. Benicio del Toro, which I love watching Benicio. Just Benicio and Josh, their characters in this movie. Benicio, I think, maybe says 10 words in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But he
just mumbles a lot.
Well, he mumbles a lot in most movies, but the nonverbal cues that he does, it's just amazing. And Emily is just tough. She is a badass. I love watching her lately.
What else has she been in?
Edge of Tomorrow. We saw her. Apparently, you forgot that we saw her in The Adjustment Bureau, which I liked with Matt Damon. I don't think I saw that one. You saw Adjustment Bureau. It has Matt Damon in it.
Oh,
of course,
Matt
you saw it. I would recommend that
I'll
movie
watch it
as
again.
well too. Anyway, what it deals with basically is the drug issue. The drug. An idealistic FBI agent is enlisted by a government task force to aid in the escalating war against drugs at the border area between the U.S. and Mexico. I had no idea. I don't know if how much of the movie is a hyperbole of what the drug war is against Mexico, but the way it made it seem to me was it is right at our doorstep. Like you walk across the border, there's a war zone, a drug war zone going on. Your friend Constance Wozniak,
it's Connie.
Connie, just I'll be cash with her. Call her Connie. She mentioned that she really liked it a lot.
I know. After she said that, I felt bad that I fell asleep because I feel like she would have good taste.
It's good, and I feel like another reason why I'm mentioning it now is El Chapo. Do you know who El Chapo is? Biggest drug lord in Mexico, was just recaptured. So I thought that this is very timely. If you're at all interested in what's going on with the drug war, I don't know if this is how much of an exaggeration this is, but it is an intense up to the end, and the movie shifts in tone or perspective, I would say, towards the end. So I don't want to spoil it, but just be ready for it. It's a great movie. A lot of twists and turns. Some great scenes.
What's your rating?
I don't think I've.
I got a 5.
I didn't pull up my ratings here. I think it's probably 4. I probably have it like 4 stars. So again, Sicario for that. Actually, I can tell you right now. 4.25.
4.25.
I had to give it the quarter. So yeah, that's Sicario. The director rewrote a bunch of the script. Emily Blunt, she did that role 4 months after giving birth. I don't know if you fell asleep, so you didn't really get to recognize she was buff. I don't know how she pulled off doing that role. And again, Josh Brolin, just amazing, hilarious in it. So that was my number 2.
Okay, now we'll see if I play into your hand
Oh,
of my
strategy,
last one.
please pay off for me.
So here's the thing: I had 2, and then I narrowed it down to 1.
Okay.
But strategically thinking that you may or may not, I guess I'd have no strategy actually. So the next one I was going to say was The Revenant. Am I allowed to talk about that?
So we both have this as our number 1. You're allowed, of course, you're allowed to talk about it. We saw
Okay,
it.
I wasn't sure if because it was an Oscar contender or something that I wasn't allowed to.
Nope, we're not. I'm not picking my favorite 2015 movie here or anything like that.
So here's why I want to talk about it.
Okay,
I feel
let's
like
talk
this
about The
one
Revenant.
has been a roller coaster for me as far as. So we watched it. So
Let me set it up.
Okay.
Since it's my number 1 too, we can
Okay.
both talk about it.
I
I'll
didn't say
set
it
it
was-
up.
okay.
But I want us to have a conversation about
Okay.
it without spoiling anything. If we can do that.
I mean, there's maybe like a couple things.
You can't spoil.
I
Most
gotta
people have
talk
not seen
about
this
it.
movie. So 2015 movie, 2 hours 36 minutes. I was left the theater. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a lot longer than I expected. 8.3 on IMDb, so it's already approximately if it gets enough views, it's going to be at about 100 range of top movies of all time. Only 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. Written by Alejandro Inarritu, as well as Mark Smith, based on a novel, and directed by Alejandro as well, who did 21 Grams, Babel, Beautiful, and most recently last year's Oscar winner, Birdman. The guy is so technically proficient with
Like his camera
directions,
work,
his
right?
camera
Yeah.
work. I mean, he's just
It was a pretty
top
movie.
of his game.
No, I wouldn't even say pretty. I guess that's a horrible way to describe it. I guess it was bright, like the coloring. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for it. So he is also very intense as a director. He has very high standards. He's a perfectionist, probably, and he's a perfectionist's perfectionist. People may aspire to be a perfectionist. This guy lives and breathes it. He shot the whole movie in 80 days, which is obscenely long for the nature of this movie. It took so long because he wanted everything shot during magic hour. So basically, he's shooting a movie 1 hour a day, and because it's the best time to shoot a movie. He blew through the budget, I think, right away, and because the winter kind of wasn't as wintry, so he had to move the whole cast. A lot of the crew left. Anyway, it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, Will Poulter. It's about a frontiersman. So again, it's based on it's a true story. A frontiersman on a fur trading expedition in the 1820s fights for survival after, stuff happens. I'll just kind of say that. It's already cleaned up Golden Globes for Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Picture. Leif Erikson, Neighbor, Aaron Mullen, Dave's wife, my buddy Lo Kung, Lisa Gonke, Michelle Newmeyer, and Andrew Jones, all excited to see it. So a lot of hype. So what are your thoughts on The Revenant?
So I'm glad you said some of the things that you just said because I rarely get to poke holes in things that you say.
There are no holes in this movie.
There are so many holes. So okay,
Don't-
so here's
no
my
spoiler.
here's my.
If
I'm
you
not
wanna
gonna
do spoils,
spoiler.
you-
I'm not gonna
okay.
spoil. So my thing, it was a roller coaster for me. I would say that this movie, as I saw it in the theater, I thought that it was, however you want to call it, visually awesome. I thought the transformation of the characters was awesome. I think how I felt about the characters was awesome. Like they built that up where I felt connected to the characters. I liked people. I hated people. Like that kind of range of emotion. But I thought the storyline was predictable. I mean, I felt like everything that was happening, I saw.
And yet you were surprised with Titanic.
I wasn't. That's cutting deep. So anyway, so back to the actual movie. So it was just like, this is going to happen next. This is going to happen next. Like, I just kind of thought there was just a series of just really unfortunate events that just keeps happening over and over and over again. It's like this guy can't catch a break kind of thing.
I'll be honest, like, I was never thinking while watching. I was so in the moment, I didn't care about thinking about I wonder what's gonna. It was so much was happening with every moment, every frame of the movie had my attention.
I agree, but at the same time, I was like, "Come on! Like, this is gonna happen to you again. Like, why can't this guy?"
So it's a true story.
So here's where I'm excited. So we come home. I'm feeling like, oh, it was good, but I wanted to tell Rob when we got together at this thing, like, oh, it was kind of predictable, and my feelings on that. And then we come in, and my nice mom, who had been babysitting our kids so we could go and see it, was like, "You didn't know it was a true story?" Well, then I was like, "Oh, what?" Like, this is a horrifyingly tragic story, like epically tragic and stressful and really terrible. And so the minute she said that, my heart like flopped over to the other side, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was the best movie ever. You know, like, how could this have happened to somebody? So then that's where I was like a couple days ago. And then, not that I was doing my homework at the last minute, but when I was doing my homework at the last minute, then I was doing some research on this movie, just about like, you know, when did this take place, and just to get some more details and context around it. And the fact of the matter is, very little of it is actually true.
That's true.
So like he doesn't have a kid. That's not a spoiler that he has a kid in the movie, but like there's a storyline where he is traveling with his son. He does not have a son.
That part is true, but that's the, or not true. That's my understanding. That's the only part that's not true. And while, yeah.
I think part of it is,
to me, it adds an element for the movie. I think it's good that they did it. I think without that, then it may not have been as.
You need it for the movie for sure, but again, and I think part of it too is.
How many movies? I mean, who cares? I mean, to me, even if part of it is true, it's a better movie.
I think just his character and his struggles was true. I don't think a lot of the other stuff was true.
Even if it wasn't true, this is an amazing movie.
So again, then I flop back to, it was still kind of predictable again. I go back to that.
Because the story was predictable.
That's it. I will say, so where the high points were for me were the score was awesome. Like the music. I mean, I felt really tense in certain moments because of the score and the visual effects and some of the, and you will even say this too. I mean, it is not for the weak stomach.
No, you don't see this if you're squeamish.
So gruesome.
I'm surprised that's. Like you didn't. Maybe
like I love The Walking Dead, and I literally.
So let me give you, without saying too much, again, great acting. Would you say
yes,
amazing
acting.
Performances?
Amazing
so you have
performances.
amazing performance, looked beautiful. So the story bothered you
That's what I'm just saying. It's predictable. Yeah.
I mean, sure. I don't know if I agree, but Leonardo DiCaprio, right? He's a vegetarian.
I know he ate like
he devoured a raw slab of bison's liver for this role. He also learned how to shoot a musket and build a fire and speak 2 Native American languages for this role.
So a couple of those are hard.
Yeah. I mean, he's never won an Academy Award.
I know.
It's crazy.
And Titanic. I'm joking. I like Titanic. But no, but really, like, I think, their transformation too, and Tom Hardy's transformation, I think, too, was... Yeah. I mean, he is hateable. I mean, you're like,
I
gotta get this guy's number. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna call his mom. Like,
he's in 2 movies that are up for best picture.
What's the other one?
Mad Max.
Oh, okay.
Although he doesn't say much in Mad Max, but he's the lead character.
But I'll leave it there. I think it's definitely worth seeing, definitely worth mentioning. It wasn't, to me, I don't know that I would put it as the best movie of the year. Because again, I think it was kind of like a river runs through it. Meets gore, meets animal gore.
One thing I thought about when I would not survive in the 1820s.
I know.
You said it's epically tragic. That's what life, I mean, there were tragedies happening on your mom and I talked about this. You know, you just going to the market, going to school, like
you would have been gone. You would have been lost at like infancy. Yeah.
No argument. No argument there. So because it didn't play in strategy, I do want to mention some honorable and dishonorable mentions as well. Pan. I saw Pan. We saw Pan. You saw part of it. Dishonorable mention. Don't go see Pan. The Hateful Eight I saw by myself. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. If you like Quentin Tarantino, go see it. If you like Westerns and can stomach Quentin Tarantino's kind of violent stuff, definitely go see it. But, I think middle of the road Quentin Tarantino movie. The movie I thought you would have.
You're going to say Boyhood?
I'm going to say Boyhood. A friend of mine, Mike Garrigan, friend of the show, said it was a grand and successful experiment. So for those who don't know, I need to talk a little bit about Boyhood. I know we're already probably long on time. Boyhood was a movie shot by Richard Linklater, and I'm not prepared to talk about it, but 2014 movie. nominated for Best Picture, shot over 13 years with the same actors. That is amazing. The way Birdman and I think The Revenant in some ways is technically amazing. To to get actors and to devote yourself for 13 years to meet meet a week every year to do some filming and get people back and motivate them and put together this movie. I will be thinking about Boyhood for probably at least 13 years, the same length of time it took him to make this movie. But it follows a boy with kind of a dysfunctional family. There is no plot. It's very plot light. That's what Richard Linklater movies are. It's just kind of more philosophical. But it follows this boy from age 6 to 18, 19 years old, and kind of family strife along the way. And I don't know. What did you think about it?
I mean, you warned me, I think, going into it that it was going to be no plot. And then I kept saying, I just don't understand how you can wrap this up. Like, what'll happen? And you were like, oh, in Richard Linklater movies, they sort of just end. And I kind of was like, okay, whatever that means. And then it just ended, like really abruptly, without any sort of high or low. And it just ended. And so I guess that's what you meant.
Dazed and Confused, Before Sunset, all the Sunset movies. He casts Ethan Hawke a lot. Ethan Hawke is in this movie. Great performances by him. Patricia Arquette's in it. The boy who they had through kind of an unknown, and then this was his first movie, and then Richard Linklater's daughter played the older sister.
Okay.
So a little easier. But you can't sign a contract. It's illegal to sign a contract that extends that long. So you just have to go on faith that these people will show up to work. For 13 years.
Well, I mean, he's paying them.
He's going
to be like, you think he's going to pay him a lump at the front? He's going to be like, here's little increments every week that I see you.
Yeah, I think it's
They're
still amazing.
They're going to get a little bigger
like you
as
could
you
get,
go.
I mean, especially for a kid, like, I don't want to do it anymore. Can you imagine, like, whatever, the main actors, the kid's like, not for me. Like, I'm good. It's amazing. It's really something. He should have received some
I don't think
sort of
I wouldn't call it
for
amazing. I think it's an interesting commentary. I think it's interesting.
The movie is not amazing.
No.
How he did it was amazing to me. And there is no category for it that would reward him for this, but he deserves something.
It's like the award for growing up.
My buddy in Poland was about to go see it. I'm curious what he thought. He's a aspiring filmmaker as well too, Wojtek Rojek. We also saw Chicken Run. Let's not talk about Chicken Run.
We're not talking about
Minions. I do want to say something about Minions, and I only want to say that we had our neighbors over, Leaf and Emily, with their kids. I have never heard our daughter cackle, or kids cackle so much during a movie. Mike Garrigan, Phil LaRucca, and Carolyn Zielinski all said it was great too. So those were my honorable mentions. What were the other movies that you say that you saw? These 11 that you.
There were a lot of them.
Okay.
I don't want to go into them. I want to just jump into. I have some things I've been waiting to talk to you about with number 1, the rec that you gave me, and number 2, some of these bottom 5s that I have pondered.
Up next, then we'll go right into it. We'll head into our break, and then when we get back, we'll do our bottom 5s and then rec. So stay tuned. And welcome back to Alternate Ending. I was going to say Alternate Ending Pod. That's our website, so definitely check that out. www.alternateendingpod. So we're back. We're going to be talking about our bottom 5, which I'm excited. You said right before we started recording, you said that you're really excited to talk about your bottom 5.
I know, because again, I think I mentioned this last time. I've been forced to see so many bad movies since knowing you that it was fun, and it was like a trip down memory lane to be like, what were all these things over the course of our relationship that we've seen together?
Oh, so you think there will be some overlap here in our bottom 5, all-time bottom 5?
I think I'm going to have a few outliers.
Okay, I'm interested to see maybe
that
what I missed.
predate you.
Some predating.
Some ones.
So going into this, what's your criteria? Because I'll say that as I sat to think about my bottom 5, I didn't want to just do schlock. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what that means.
Like something that's just terrible. Because, I made a movie called Schoolboys, or yet to finish it, because I'm a terrible.
That's on my list. Actually.
That's number 1 on your bottom 5. What I'm saying is, if you just threw up a camera and you and I tried to act and said that was a movie, that would be the worst movie of all time. You know what I mean? Like, to me, a bad movie
No,
is
these are
something
real
that's
movies.
memorable, memorably bad, like laughably bad, almost like what we used to do with our bad movie nights, where it's like watching a train wreck because it's like, oh my goodness,
Well, and
how
I
could it
think
be so bad?
I had the same criteria as I had for my favorite movies of all time, where I had to remember these details of it because it was so ingrained in me how bad it was.
And
There's this middle of the road bad where it's so bad, but if I don't remember it, that's because it was bad. But these ones I remember
Memorably
because they
bad.
were so
That's
bad.
and that's kind of what I was trying to get to too. Is I think the good and bad, the spectrum, they meet because of how memorable they are.
Yeah.
Like you get something far enough on each spectrum, they are just as memorable.
Here's my concern though. I think that in mine there might be this like bad movie cult following where again it's so bad that people are like, oh, but it's so bad it's good. And I think if a movie is just so bad, it's just so bad. Like there's no redeeming quality to some of these movies. So
Well, and I had the same problem of ordering as I did with my top 5 too. I don't know if you ran into that. Like, how do I, which movie, which one do I include, which one do I leave out? Like, I had the same kind of
mine
problems.
are all kind of equally bad.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, let's start with your number 5.
So this one is bad. And this one actually, I'm hoping it's on your list. And if it's not on your list, when I say it, you're going to be like, oh, I should have put that on my list.
Yeah, defend the badness of it.
Okay, so my
What is
first movie is Human Centipede.
Okay, did we end up watching that together?
Is it on your list?
It's not on my list. Lokong asked that I put Human Centipede Part 3 on the list, but
So that is probably worse than Human Centipede 1. But after I saw Human Centipede 1, I would have never, ever watched anything ever again. So after I say the synopsis of this, no one will ever see it. Or maybe you will because it sounds so ridiculous. But basically this scientist kidnaps these 3 people. I don't remember the genders, but maybe 1 guy and 2 girls or something like that. And he takes them and surgically reassembles these people into the form of a human centipede, creating stitching from, I don't even want to say this word because it grosses me out, but stitching their mouths to each other's like bottoms.
yeah, butt to face.
Butt to face.
Butt to face, butt to face.
And so like all these things that normally would transpire and they're still eating.
Yeah.
So you do the math on that one.
Is there, so really quick, I think you've described that the surgical process pretty well.
Yeah.
Just as you say this now, in that human centipede with the 3,
Right.
where's the best and worst spot to be?
Oh, you definitely want to be on the front.
You want to be the front. Where's the worst spot? I feel like the middle is the worst. But
No.
Yeah.
Oh wait. No. You don't want to be the butt.
You don't want to be
You don't want to be the ending.
You don't want to be the last person.
No, because then it's like 2 digestive tracts. It's so gross.
The middle seems a bad spot too, because
then you can't come up for air either.
But there's guilt involved with being the middle person too, because you're depositing as
my
well.
gosh.
So I feel like you have guilt, but then you also have your own situation.
You're
that
right.
You're dealing with.
You're right.
The middle to me
middle's
is the worst spot.
This is like the first time you've been right. It's
all
the middle.
I remember from it is each of them apologizing to
like, oh,
I'm
sorry,
because they're
I
all
had
trying
a bean
to,
burrito.
They're all
And
trying
they're
to.
like,
They're all trying. Yeah.
It was the worst movie anyone can ever see.
It should probably be on my list somewhere.
You'd forgotten about it, hadn't you?
I haven't forgotten. How do you forget that?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
forget?
I'm not even going to say who wrote it. I mean, he's done nothing but like offensive movies over the course of his career. I was like, has he done anything else?
There are cult followings.
I'm
for
sure
this.
there are. There's
people
weirdos out there.
People go to see this movie.
If you're listening to
Again,
this and you
he's
like
made
this
3 of
movie,
them.
stop listening. Discontinue listening to this podcast.
He's made 3. I've only seen the one with you. Will this end up being on our like top date movies of all time as well?
Maybe. It drew me closer to you.
Anything else on that one?
No.
No.
That's it. Leave it there.
My 5th one. I'm curious if this is on yours. Battlefield Earth.
It's on mine.
Sweet. What number?
I said they're all the same to me.
Okay. Battlefield Earth.
Actually, you know what? This makes me feel good. I actually didn't write the synopsis because I
Okay.
knew it would be on yours.
So
And I didn't want to take the
strategic.
time.
You were strategic.
No, but it was on my list. I just
Okay.
was really lazy.
Battlefield Earth, released in 2000, 1 hour, 58 minutes. IMDb does, not only do they do a top list, they do a bottom list. It's 2.4 on IMDb.
That's lower than Human Centipede.
It's lower?
Human Centipede was 4. How do you get 4?
It's Battlefield Earth is the 53rd, according to IMDb, 53rd worst movie of all time. It gets, ready for this? What was Human Centipede? Do you know on Rotten Tomatoes?
I didn't look.
Battlefield Earth gets 3% on Rotten
That is
Tomatoes.
really low.
Written
It's
by
negative.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron
If that
Hubbard.
name sounds familiar, it's because he also invented the Church of Scientology.
And he's in movies.
Well, he wrote a bunch of science. So L. Ron Hubbard started off as a science fiction writer,
Okay.
and then created a religion. I'm not going to bash any religions, but
Do your thing.
he did. If you're into the Scientology thing, that's cool. Directed by Roger Christian, starring John Travolta, Forrest Whitaker, Barry Pepper. John Travolta, again, the tie to Scientology. He is a Scientologist, so probably wanted to be part of this movie. The synopsis, if you can call it that. After enslavement, a near extermination by an alien race in the year 3000, humanity begins to fight back. Oh, this is a terrible. Like, it's a polished turd. Like, it's a terrible because it's. I mean, they've spent the money, right?
Oh, it was so expensive. Yeah, I think they spent a lot of money on it.
They spent a lot of money on this movie.
Yeah. And it made like $1.
And then they have all of these weird angles, like the Dutch angles and stuff like that throughout. It's just laughable. So it was part of our bad movie watching because it's one of those movies. It's like, how was this made? And you laugh at the acting.
The
you laugh
bigger
at the
actors,
plot.
though. You have Forrest Whitaker's in there too. A couple other people.
Forrest Whitaker expressed his regret for participating in this movie after it was made. It won 7 Razzies. So we talk about Oscars. Razzies is the opposite of an Oscar. It won 7 Razzies, which isn't. It was the all-time record, but a movie displaced it. I don't remember what it was. John Travolta referred to this film as like Star Wars Episode 4, but better. And the Schindler's. He called it the Schindler's List of science fiction films during publicity. What is he talking about?
I don't know.
The Schindler's List?
I thought I read something else that he was like, I don't want to ever acknowledge that I was in this movie.
During publicity, he was not saying that, but after I think he really genuinely thought that it would be well received.
Doesn't he have like dreads in it or something? Like he has like alien dreads.
So originally he was supposed to play the lead role of not the antagonist but the protagonist, the lead human. But then he got older and the movie never got the funding that it needed. It is just so bad. Okay. It's so bad that I think it's worth watching for its badness.
No, it's not.
You don't think people should waste their time just if their curiosity?
People have lives, and this is not. If you have like 1 to 2 movies a week that you have time to watch, this is not the way to spend it.
Okay, but if you have more than that,
so if you have more time on your hands,
and you're looking and you're digging at the bottom. See, again, to me, this is better than like we saw the movie The Loft or like these middle of the road movies. I don't like middle of the road movies. You need to do something for me on one side or the other in order to gain my interest. Like
I disagree.
Okay. Well,
just don't ever watch this movie.
Number 4 for you.
Number 4, I think this also might be on your list too. Or maybe I should go. So I have Splice.
I do not have Splice. I almost don't want to talk about Splice.
I know.
It's on my honorable mentions.
Okay, so it's so.
Did we see that together?
We saw it together. Man. It was so bad. Like we almost would have never had children after watching this movie.
We really saw this together?
We did. So it's basically these 2 genetic engineers come together to create a genetic hybrid. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but create like a genetic hybrid of a human and is it an alien? It's like an animal. It's like an animal.
It's like
a bird.
No. They've morphed all animals together into like an amoeba, and then they add human DNA into it. They're trying to create a cure for like every disease and something like that.
So it actually
it's an asexual kind of being.
I don't even know if it's asexual until
right.
That's the thing. You go through like 3/4 of this movie and it's okay. It's not like top notch movie making or anything like that, but it's not bad. And then it just takes the curveball. I mean, can you tell people about the curveball? Because it's not even a spoiler.
Sarah Polley stars in it, if I recall.
Yeah, Adrian Brody.
Thank you, Adrian. You did do your homework this
time.
Time. Kudos to you.
I know.
I don't know who it's directed by. I was excited to see this movie because I like genetic splicing. I like all this stuff.
It could have been okay.
Right up until...
I'm just going to say what happens.
Say what happened.
So what happens is it's so absurd. So I think the alien slash
Yeah, spoil this movie because
yeah, I'm
people
going to spoil
should
it.
just not see this.
So the alien being looks like a woman, but she does not look like a woman. I mean, she looks like a half alien. She's not attractive, empirically attractive. She's very scary looking. Ends up having was it like a human has like a relations. She has relations.
Hold on. Because let's say this, that the two scientists who create this, it's a male and a woman, it's a boyfriend and a girlfriend, a scientist team.
Right.
They have a relationship. The woman introduces her DNA into it.
That's what it was.
So it's hers.
So it kind of looks a little bit like
it's
her,
a little
only
bit
alien.
like her, only alien. The boyfriend does not know. He thinks it's some random DNA that's been inserted into this.
Yes.
And he develops a fondness. The being develops a fondness with
Him.
Adrian Brody, to the point where
they have like
becomes
relations.
It's an electric complex where
yes.
Yeah. So
they do things.
They do
too
some
much,
things.
too much, and then to top it all off, then as Rob mentioned earlier, it's asexual, and it actually what do you call that when you can change genders? Like change.
I don't know. Change
So
genders.
it's a lady when she has relations. It switches into being a man alien,
Yep.
and then has relations with the mom
No, not
or
relations.
the other scientist.
Rapes.
Rapes. Don't use
It's terrible.
It's terrible. It's
Don't
terrible.
see this movie.
Never see this movie. Let's move on.
Yeah.
This was so
For
bad.
the plot alone. I didn't have this because I kind of just didn't want to talk about it.
I
because
know.
of that.
I put it there because it was so bad.
Yeah. And then impregnates the.
Oh, yeah.
So
Never see this movie.
Yeah, just
Move
skip
on.
this movie.
What's your next one?
Next one, number 4. This doesn't get any better. Kind of related. Number 4 for me is Incubus in 1966.
I never saw that
No,
one.
we did see it together.
Oh.
We did see it together in Bad Movie Night. Thankfully, it's a short 1 hour and 18 minutes. Written or released in 1966. IMDb actually gives it a 6.1, and it is an astounding 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. 71%. Written and directed by Leslie Stevens, creator of The Outer Limits, so kudos to him for that. Starring William Shatner, and then a bunch of kind of no-name other actresses. Synopsis. On a strange island inhabited by demons and spirits, a man battles the forces of evil. The movie is just... Oh, it's black and white. It's right before William Shatner got the call to go do Star Trek, and it is just so bad. It's all shot in Esperanto, which is a language that was created to be the universal language that no one uses. It has like 100,000 people who speak it, but it's all shot in Esperanto. And an incubus is a male demon that tries to attract women and take over them, and then a succubus, and there's a succubus and an incubus, and it is just a terribly bad movie.
I don't even remember it.
It got so much critical acclaim around the world, and then a lab mistakenly destroyed all the negatives, which would have been amazing, but they found this one negative still of the movie, and it survived, and it's been getting kind of online circulation. Some tragedies befell a lot of the actors and actresses that were in it, so it kind of... But it's just a terrible movie. Not worth seeing. I have no idea what's into. It's probably an art house film. I just don't get it. I just don't arty movies. Like, I don't understand. There's probably maybe some subtext that I'm missing, but I just cannot. Go watching. If you want to take a chance, go watch Incubus. Come back and report back to me. Tell me what I'm missing from it. But I just don't get it. So that's number 4 for me.
Okay.
Number 3 for you.
Let's see. Number 3 is Hostel Part 2.
Really?
It's okay. Here's my problem with the Hostel movies. I'm all into
I kind of feel like I wanted to not have sequels on here. I think that was like...
So I was going to put... No, but the thing is, I was going to put Hostel movies.
Hostel's a good movie.
Maybe it was part 2.
Movie.
No, it's not. So it's just one of those like predictable horror movies. And I can't handle... Here's what I can't handle. I can't handle the like... I'm the ditzy girl who, oh yeah, sure, I'll get into your cab with a stranger because that makes sense when I'm, in another country and we don't speak the same language. Like, that kind of stuff just bugs me more than anything. So I feel like this one, I know they did that in Hostel Part 1, but in Hostel Part 2, it was even more blatant. Like, 3 girls are studying abroad and they're lured. Like, they literally get into the car. You're not lured if you get into the car. like, oh, won't it be fun to like go party in your cave? You know, like it's so absurd to me.
So you won't be seeing Hostel Part 3 then?
Is there another one coming?
Yeah, I'm no coming.
It's in our queue.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna go watch after this show tonight.
I just those kind of just bother me. Like where it's it's not good writing. Like what are the what's the series of the horror movies
It's a 5.4 on IMDb, and it's
so bad for me. And so what's the ones though where that they do like the, you know, you have to choose between shooting yourself in the face or your friend getting a nail in the eyeball. Like what's that series of scary movies, horror movies?
I think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it is now.
But I feel like that's the better version, which that sounds horrible the way I set that up, but that's the better version of these Hostel movies. Like I feel like Hostel was trying to be those movies, and then they just tried to add in girls. And then there was all this like random nudity.
You're talking about Saw.
Saw.
What you're trying
yes,
to
which is a better version of Hostel to me. And then it's like in the Hostel ones, they just turn it like, oh, there's just random nudity. Like people are just running around randomly.
Well,
nude.
that's because Eli Roth is the director of that. He's done Cabin Fever and some other ones where he believes there is a link, and I psychologically I think there is a link between kind of sexuality, hypersexuality, and fear, and that triggers this. If you look at the brain's reaction to fear and sexuality, it's the same trigger. So he merges the two. That's why it's been a formula around for decades.
Yeah, but in this
movies.
particular case, it doesn't work. It's just like,
it's
oh, we're not
gratuitous.
even scared yet. Oh, but we're just randomly, like, we're going to, go to this hotel, nothing scary's happened, and we're just going to jump up and down on the bed and have a pillow fight. You know, like, it's just really weird.
All right,
I just enticed a lot of people to watch this probably by saying
about
that,
half
actually.
our audience, at least.
I know. So, maybe 3/4, but not for me. Bad movie.
All right, well, number 3 for me, let me start by saying, I mentioned this last episode. It takes a lot for me to dislike a movie and also to love a movie. I'm very hard to please on both ends of the spectrum. I had never walked out of a movie. I've never walked out of a movie since. This is number 3 on my list. I walked out of this movie, and that's saying a lot for me. Jawbreaker, 1999. Have you seen this movie? 1999 Jawbreaker?
I think I did. Was there a jawbreaker in it? Like
there
where
was
it
a
was
jawbreaker.
in somebody's mouth?
That's right. Oh my goodness. You are not a big movie watcher pre me. Before
That's
me.
because this is in my top 10 of all time.
Yeah,
no, I'm just
that
joking.
would not surprise me.
No, I'm joking.
I would not be surprised.
I don't remember. It's like vague, but it wasn't bad enough that I remember it.
So, written and directed by Darren Stein, who hasn't done much of anything. It gets a 5.4 on IMDb. Don't know how, but Rotten Tomatoes rightfully gives it a 7%. So not too much better than Battlefield Earth. Starring Rose McGowan, Rebecca Gayheart, Julie Benz. Does that name ring any bells?
No.
Dexter's wife, who well, actually shouldn't say
they're
that.
not married.
Well, no, but sorry, Dexter's wife in the show, Julie Benz.
Rita.
Oh,
I like Rita.
Judy Greer, who's gone on to some fame. Carol Kane, Marilyn Manson, Pam Grier. 3 of the most popular girls at Reagan High accidentally kill the prom queen with the jawbreaker. No, it's not a spoiler because it happens like first scene with the jawbreaker when a kidnapping goes horribly wrong. Just a terrible movie. And I'm a high school boy here, seeing, high school girls and whatever. That wasn't enough to keep me to watch this movie. This movie was a terrible movie.
You actually left in the middle.
I left the theater. I called my parents or I drove home. I don't remember if I was driving.
Were you alone?
Yeah, I watched a lot of movies alone in high school.
Oh no, I'm just calling you out.
I saw this movie. And I've seen Can't Hardly Wait, I think, came out right around the same time. I've seen a lot of movies by myself. It was tough to coordinate, I
feel like that you're owning up makes me feel bad for calling you out on it.
Yeah, that's right. Only about 170 people know now. Hopefully. Yeah, just a bad movie. I don't remember anything about it. It was trying to be... Have you ever seen Heathers?
No.
So Heathers is a dark comedy about teenage... It's like Mean Girls, but like dark comedy. It was trying to be Heathers for my generation. It failed, from my estimation. Yeah, just don't go see this.
I won't see it.
Yeah,
I promise.
Right, number 2 for you.
Are you ready for mine?
Yeah,
no,
I'm
I
ready.
think this is my last one.
Did I not count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I already said
No,
this is 5 for me.
Oh, because we both did Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my last one.
Well, let me go. Let me go. So that we both
It's
do
not
number
the same.
ones. No, but so we both do number ones.
Okay.
It could be.
No, it's not.
It could be.
You've never seen this movie.
So if I say number 2 for me, Star Wars Holiday Special.
I've never seen that.
We saw that together.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we saw that together for a bad movie night.
I feel so bad that I'm not
Holy
engaged in
moly.
our relationship.
Star Wars Holiday Special.
What happened?
I wanted to bring this up also because of Star Wars Force Awakens is about to devoured the box office. It's about to break all time
But it wasn't
records.
in the same, like, it wasn't trying to be Star Wars, like with the...
No, it built off the success of the original Star Wars. They're like, let's make a holiday special right after this success. So it's released in 1978. Star Wars was 1977. Holiday special, hour 37 minutes. It gets a 2.4 on IMDb. Surprisingly, 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, unless I got my stats wrong here. Written by a ton of people, directed by Steve Binder, starring Bea Arthur, who was in. Do you know Bea Arthur?
She's from Golden Girls.
Golden Girls.
Yeah.
She plays what character in Golden Girls?
She's get back to me.
Okay, I'll
the
get back
tall
to
lady.
The tall lady. Yeah, Bea Arthur. Everybody knows her. She sings
we
in
know
it.
who she is.
She does some singing in it. Harvey Korman. The whole Star Wars cast. You can tell the whole Star Wars cast does not want to be there.
Right.
So the synopsis is Chewbacca and Han Solo, which Harrison.
You're saying this and it's kind of coming
Harrison
back to me.
Is in it for like a minute. But Chewbacca and Han Solo try to get back to Chewie's family to celebrate Life Day, which includes various forms of entertainment. It is.
Was there dancing?
There was dancing with Wookiees. A lot of Wookiees living in a tree. So Chewie's family is waiting for Chewie to get back from a mission with Han Solo.
I remember this.
And it's a Christmas special. They call it, holiday special. So George Lucas famously tried and failed to buy up every single copy of this movie. He wanted this to not exist.
Oh, okay.
And I understand why, George. Like, I'm with you. But it was not successful. And
how much did it actually make?
Oh, it didn't make anything. It was like, I don't know if it was a direct to TV. I think it might have been direct to TV. It was a holiday special, like NBC or one of these networks was like, hey, Star Wars was a hit. Let's make this a special and let's pay George. It was still off the first one, so he could still use money, like
right.
whatever. So they probably bought the character rights, everything, and got the actors to come out and do some guest appearances. But you can tell no one wants to be there. And it's the most absurd, just money grab I've ever seen. So, even if you're Maggie Hogan, I know you're listening. You're a Star Wars fan. Tell me if you've seen this. Let me know if you feel the same way. I'd like to know someone who defends this holiday special. I'd like to meet that person. All right, after you now. Number 1 for you.
Number 1 most terrible movie was the 2000. Oh no, when I don't know. I think it came out in 2003. Bones.
Bones?
Starring
Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg
That's
and
good.
Pam Grier.
That's a good one.
Yeah, was it?
That's a good one. Good pull.
Was it?
Yeah,
Have you seen this?
It's a good pull. I've seen it.
It's so
I
bad.
Did not think about this movie.
20 years after his death by a gunshot, Jimmy Bones, starring Snoop Dogg as Jimmy Bones, comes back as a ghost to wreak havoc on those who killed him and to clean up his neighborhood, because everyone knows that Snoop Dogg is the one that's going to make things right.
That's crazy. It still gets a 4.0 on IMDb.
I have no idea why. I mean, there was nothing about it that was good. I saw it in theaters when I was. You paid theater money? I did. I think it was actually the only movie I saw in college because I was doing other things. But I went with a friend on a random Saturday night and I regretted it. That's probably why I never went to another movie ever again. I mean, it was so bad and I paid for it, and it was one of those things that it had no redeeming qualities, and the I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but like when he would shoot somebody, it was like the blood was like brown. I don't know. It was just weird. Like, there was nothing good about it. The way it was shot was bad. The acting was bad. The storyline didn't make any sense. It was bad. The popcorn was good. That's about it. Yeah.
I have nothing to say about Bones. I remember nothing except a lot of smoking of the doobies. And
there were doobies,
There were doobies being smoked and blood.
It was so bad. Never see it. Anybody. I don't even know if, like, anyone has seen it but me out there. So
write us if you have. Hit us up on Facebook or tweet us at Alternate Ending. Number 1 for me, and I'm going to get a lot of I'm probably going to get a lot of notes on this because it's a highly rated movie, and I mentioned Jawbreaker was the only movie I've ever walked out of. I would have walked out of a theater in this, but I was with friends. I was with my buddy Lo and Amy Knufer. We went to go see this movie. It was over Thanksgiving, and we were like, hey, let's go catch a movie. And I was so jazzed to see this movie, The Fountain, in 2006, written and directed by Darren Aronofsky, who did Pi, 1998, Requiem for a Dream, The Wrestler, Black Swan, Noah. So again, The Fountain, starring Hugh Jackman, Rachel Weisz. I was so jazzed to see it because it looked like just the right amount of artiness. Dealt with, the synopsis is a modern day scientist is struggling with mortality and desperately searching for the medical breakthrough that will save the life of his cancer-stricken wife, Izzy. Deals with different timelines and kind of maybe time travel. Like I was excited to see this. And I wanted to walk out of the theater. I really did. But I was like, I can't walk out because we have friends here. After the movie, we all agreed that we all would have walked out had the other person said that they want to walk out. No one understood this movie. This went over our heads. We had no idea what Darren was trying to communicate or the point or anything. It was the longest hour and I'm surprised to see it's an hour 36 minutes. It felt like a lifetime.
That's really short, yeah.
And I just kept looking at my watch. I was wearing a watch at the time. Originally, it was a $75 million budget. Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett were going to do it, which wouldn't have made it any better. And after Brad Pitt left, the budget was reduced down to $35 million. Budget was not the problem. Visually, it's a beautiful movie. You said plot for your earlier being an issue with one of the Revenant, for example. I just don't get what he was trying to say. Like, I don't get the point. Like, I don't understand what happened or the trio.
So don't watch it.
Don't watch this movie. No, please, someone watch it and explain it to me because I have no idea. So if you've seen this movie or you have interest in seeing this movie, go see it. Come back, write us on Facebook or comment us on our website, whatever. Get a hold of us somehow and talk to us about this movie because I need to know what I am missing about this movie. And you have not seen it.
No.
Maybe a rec for you soon, huh?
No.
Honorable mentions for me: Leonard Part 6. Have you seen Leonard Part 6? Bill Cosby movie?
No.
Yeah. That's... And anything... I had Splice on here. And then Uwe Boll. Uwe Boll's a director. He's done House of the Dead. He does a lot of video game movies.
You already did your 5.
I know. I'm just mentioning Uwe Boll. Avoid Uwe Boll at all costs. Some listeners had some worst movies of all times. Kelly and Tim Barnes wrote MacGruber. But mostly because it's the worst movie to see with in-laws, which should probably be a top 5 for us
That's the next one, yeah.
At some point. Well, it's not the next one,
but
what
I mean.
It should be.
It'll be on there.
It'll be on there. Have you seen MacGruber?
No.
It's It's I could see why it would fall maybe in that in-law category. And then Maggie Hogan was kind enough to supply us with Joe Dirt and Blair Witch Project. Now Joe Dirt, I can see. Blair Witch, I don't know. There were things I took away from Blair Witch.
I think you either liked that movie or you didn't.
Yeah. Should we take a break or go right into
Let's go in.
Go right into it. Because all right. So we had some recs. We had some things assigned to us. You assigned me Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, and you were assigned what?
House of Sand and Fog.
Who do you want to go first?
So you go first.
I go first. Wow, this is we're
and I'll tell you why. You'll find out why I want to go last.
Episode 2, we're breaking new ground already.
That's right.
I go first.
You'll find out why.
Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken.
You loved it, didn't you?
So we call this segment a rec, and it's, for me, the way I think about it is either a recommendation or it's like a train wreck.
Did you love it?
So Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, 1991, hour 28 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.2.
Because
Rotten Tomatoes gives it 70%.
Because
it was terrible.
No, you're just saying that. You're just saying awful. That.
It's a story. Do you know that it's a true story?
Yeah, I do.
So it's a true story of Sonora Webster, a teenage runaway during the Depression.
Oh.
Her life's ambition is to travel to Atlantic City, where all her dreams can come true.
And they do.
Do they? Do all her dreams come true?
There's some hardships.
So it's directed by Matt Williams, Oli Sassone, I don't know, or written by them. Directed by Stephen Miner. Again, Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. Starring Gabrielle Anwar, who you were right, she's now in she was doing the show, Hitman show. Blanking on it right now. I thought she was in Father of the Bride. She was not in Father of the Bride. Look-alike in Father of the Bride, but she's done something. Decent actress. Also starring Michael Scoufling, Cliff Robertson, who Cliff Robertson was played Peter Parker's Uncle Ben in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So I had a lot of problems. Oh gosh, I had a lot of problems with this movie. It didn't make my top or my bottom 5.
That's nice.
So that's
nice.
something. Care, there was so much wrong with this movie.
Why?
Okay. I was a student of this film. I wrote down as I was watching. I was writing down things. So, do you remember a bag on, like the aunt putting a bag on her face?
So here, let me preface. I haven't seen this since I was watching VHS. So I haven't seen it in like 20 years. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. So I will say that.
So the acting was terrible.
Oh,
it was terrible acting. But I even tried to put myself in your mindset. I was like, all right,
just saying to cut.
Carrie
You're just saying
mindset.
that to hurt my feelings.
So she wants to she wants to get out of her living situation. She lives with her aunt, and something has happened to her parents or something like that. She's living with her aunt in the Great Depression, which was very common actually during that time, where parents would kind of give kids to people who could take better care of them. There's a lot of like physical violence going on in the movie, which is like, what's happening? Why are you being so physical?
I will say I've forgotten
There's like slapping in the faces for no reason.
It was the times. It was the times.
Slap people and you make them put a bag on their face as punishment and walk to school with a paper bag on their face.
That was sad. I forgot about that. It's like I said, it's been like 20 years.
So she wants out of her situation. He thinks the way out of her situation is through doing something with horses. So horses are the theme of this movie. The way she's like, I'm just going to run away and go join the circus or join an act. The way she demonstrates that she is capable of doing this, because she has no experience in this. The way she demonstrates to people and who have the in to get her into this situation that she's going to be good even though she has no experience is because she has strong thighs. She sits in a chair and kind of grabs them with her thighs really tight. And they try to lift her up and wow, you would be a good.
So strong.
She's never really ridden a horse, but yet she can hold a chair with her thighs, which is just ridiculous.
All right, let's see it. Let's see you do that.
All right, we'll demonstrate this after the show.
I'm taking a
All
video.
I'm saying is, if you're interested in a movie that takes place in the Depression era and that's about kind of focuses on a child runaway or whatever, have you seen The Journey of Natty Gann?
No.
Have you seen? I mean, we saw Water for Elephants, also kind of similar.
No, that's
themes.
not. It's different.
Depression era.
Yeah, but it's different. Water for Elephants is totally different.
There were just better versions of the same movie, and not to mention.
So tell me, did you get any positive feedback from other listeners on this movie?
There were some people.
I got none on your movie.
Kristen Hoffman wrote and said that
best,
great movie.
Amazing,
oh my gosh, Sarissa,
wonderful.
is that?
Sarissa, yeah.
Sarissa
also
also affirmed you. I don't know what you guys are watching. I also had a problem. I'm not saying I'm an animal activist. I think I am, but it's about horse diving. So I looked this up, and I thought this was make-believe that they made horses do this. But that they would make horses go up to 60 feet, 30 feet up, and the rider would jump off the ramp of a 60-foot ramp, 60-foot high ramp, into a pool of water. And I just had a problem with that. Not to mention how the director did it. It's as they go off the ramp, they cut, and then it's the worst CGI horse I've ever seen going into a pool of water.
Again, it's been
back.
a while since I've seen it. Again, I saw it on VHS. It's an older movie. We can't all
rewatch it. Tell me if it stands up. Tell me if this movie stands up.
What did you watch it on?
I watched it on my iPad.
I mean, Netflix.
No, I bought it on Amazon. I wasted $2.99 of my Amazon money on this movie.
So if you're,
I just had so much. This is really a top movie for you, or just?
I just said it was one that I remember from my childhood that I appreciated in my childhood.
Did you do this to me as punishment, like a
no,
wreck with a W,
no,
or did you do it as a wreck with
that.
an R?
It was a wreck with a heart next to it.
Oh, with a heart.
Yeah.
Have you? So go see The Journey of Natty Gann. Okay. And tell me then see this movie. And tell me which one's better.
Okay.
I can't believe. So Michael Scoufling, the lead handsome guy, there's also yeah, okay. So I don't know if it's a sign, but right after this movie he quit acting.
Probably
was-
because so many women
like,
were chasing him down.
Maybe that, or he's like,
He's
I
like-
just can't do anything better than this. This was my best performance. I'll never. I should just quit. I peaked too much, too high.
That's
he kind of has like a little Matt Dillon, like the same.
Yeah.
Young
Wait,
Matt,
is
young
Matt
Matt
Dillon?
Dillon.
Who's the guy from the early edition?
I don't know what Early Edition is. Was that a movie? If
He always knew the news before it was coming.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
Burn Notice was
Who's
Gabrielle
the guy from The
Anwar.
Rocketeer?
Oh, I'm gonna blank on. I don't know.
That's who he reminds me of.
Yeah, he's got that.
That thing. That kind of like side sweep.
Rocketeer. Let me.
Yeah.
It's gonna bother me. Billy Campbell.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my thoughts. Don't
Okay.
please, if you're Team Robert, if you're Team Rob, do not watch Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, please.
And if you're the other side,
But I don't.
Go and see it.
I don't want this to influence your House of Sand and Fog decision. I want an honest.
So, okay.
Review of House
so
of
I
Sand
want
and
to
Fog.
lead this off. So here's why I wanted to leave it for last. I'm kind of concerned that you're going to be mad at me a little bit about this one. So I think we should do a segment on like the best ways in which to watch movies. So I did go out and watch this movie, and I wanted to tell you this a while ago. I was meaning to tell you this, but I wanted to tell you something I did.
I'm already feeling angered. I don't know. I can tell you have a lot of guilt on your face right now.
I feel guilty because I watched this like a couple weeks ago. And remember when I told you to change your email password?
Yeah, because I thought it was like virus, like you accidentally downloaded a virus or something.
So it was because I was watching this movie, and so I looked it up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this the safe way, and I'm gonna watch this movie on YouTube. So I
Oh my God!
so I go. Here's the thing. So
What did you do?
So here's the thing. I watched it on YouTube for the majority.
You didn't
of the
want to
movie.
spend the money to buy this, to
I
rent
just
this movie?
assumed there was a free way to watch it. I couldn't find it
With
on
that
Netflix.
comes with the nice addition of a virus on our computer.
So here's the thing. So okay, so I went to YouTube, and there was a legitimate person that had it on YouTube. So I watched it on YouTube, and that was fine. So I watched the whole movie, and then
I paid $2.99 to watch Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, and you could not spend the $2.99 on House of Sand and Fog.
I didn't know how it was going to be. So anyway, so I watched it on YouTube, and that was totally fine. And then it just sort of ended abruptly, and I wasn't sure if I had seen the whole movie, if there was like a little bit more. So then I went to a different website when I Googled it, and then I tried to play it there, and then the computer started like popping up all these things like change your password, somebody has your IP address, and like all these things. Rest assured, I called the computer company and they said it was fine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's
It
fine.
was totally okay.
Totally fine.
Totally
you know
okay.
what? You owe us a new computer. That's the
So
restitution.
That's why I couldn't tell you why I was having you change your email passwords. But if our bank accounts are drained, it might be because of House and Sand and Fog, and I blame you. So for making
so
me
much
watch it.
anger.
I blame you for making me watch this movie. So just wanted to like clear the air on that.
Appreciate it.
So
Let's talk about the movie.
Let's talk about the movie. So and in another episode about safe ways to watch movies, we'll do another thing on that. So in this movie that you wrecked me, did you feel as though you were trying to give me a kind movie or a mean movie?
This is a movie that is very memorable to me, and I have a very positive memory of it. Like, it's a very good,
Positive.
it's a great movie. I think it's a great movie.
Okay.
At least 4 stars in my book.
So, House of Sand and Fog is basically Jennifer Connelly plays an abandoned wife who you find out in the beginning of the movie that her husband's left her, but she hasn't really acknowledged it yet, and nobody knows, and her family doesn't know. And because she's not paying her bills, she's evicted from her house, in which a couple comes in to buy up the house as a income property, I guess, and wants to buy it and flip it. And their financial situation, while it seems very like they're very affluent and like they're doing this for the money, really they've moved here are they from Arabia?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the Middle East. I can't recall exactly where, but part of the reason I assigned it to you was just because of obviously the kind of the immigrant situation now too, with like Syria and whatnot. I thought it was very timely to kind of showcase that aspect of it.
Yeah, so they come but unfortunately this couple has nothing, but you wouldn't know that from the movie, and so they buy it, and she basically wants the house back, and then it starts this kind of like, again, tragic episode of events where what happens and why, you know, doing mean things to people over and over again, what the outcome of that is. I mean, I had a feeling when I was watching it that you were thinking you were being nice to me. I mean, for me,
this is a great movie. I'm being nice to you because I've given you a gift of a great movie.
But what I told you my prerequisites are is like I don't like tragedy.
No. The requisite was no animal death. I think was the only thing that you had said.
And then we went to see The Revenant. And
I don't know. I can't. I didn't know.
No, but this was a very, very difficult movie to watch. Very tragic. And what I didn't like about it was one of those movies. I don't like when it's like no-win situation type movies. Like a type of movie where it sets it up that somebody will lose. Like, and that's how this movie is, where you know the whole time that this will end poorly for somebody, and you just don't know who, and you don't know how, and you don't know what. And that's how this movie was.
So real life.
I don't think real lives all end tragically.
Yeah. But they also don't have a happy. Well, I guess that Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken or whatever was a real story.
Real story. Yeah. So for me, and I would say though, I appreciated what you were doing. Like I did think it was a good movie. I mean, it was a movie that made you think. It made you think about how you perceive people and how we treat people. I think just general treatment of people and stuff like that too. I think this was all around. It didn't go in some extremes that I thought it might go, and so I was kind of glad that it didn't do that. But thanks for that. I'm glad I watched it. I think some people would enjoy it. I think it was a good movie.
What do you reckon me this week? Is it going to be you got something in the hopper?
I do.
All right, what is it?
I Am Sam. You'll love it. And you're going to cry.
I knew this was going to come eventually, so I guess it's no surprise. See, and here I was going to be generous. I think I'll still be generous. I was going to do The Fountain.
Thanks. You spoke so highly of it.
I just want someone to watch it to explain it to me.
I won't. If you want me to explain it to you, that's not happening.
I'm going to go Way of the Gun. We were just talking about Benicio del Toro.
I don't like him. He always looks like he got punched in the face.
That's fine.
All right. Way of the Gun.
You don't have
to
like
write this
looking
down.
at him. Way of the Gun. I think you'll like it. It was so Usual Suspects was almost going to be in my all-time top 5. And this is the same writer, and this is his first, I think, one of his directorial debuts. And it's not your type of movie, but it's definitely mine, and it's definitely high on my list. So I'd love to know what your feedback is. So.
Okay.
Hey, good show.
Yeah,
two in the can. So just want to thank a couple people too. I want to thank Lo Kung again. The music you've been listening to during this episode is all featured from Fervor. You can check out his music at fervorband.com. Find it on iTunes, wherever you can find music. Check out our social media stuff, guys. A lot of people have been texting us. Engage us in social media, Facebook page, Alternate Ending. Definitely go out there and like it if you're enjoying the show. Communicate with us on there, Twitter, our website, alternateendingpod.com. It's going to be changing in the next couple of weeks. We look forward to that. And we are officially on iTunes and Google Music. Woo-hoo. Yeah, subscribe. Make it easy on yourself. Just hit that subscribe button. You'll get the episodes loaded to you as soon as they are aired. Our next show will air on Monday, February 1st. We're going to cover our top 5 date movies just in time for Valentine's Day. So looking forward to that. Good night, good morning, and farewell. Catch you guys next time.